Scott McNair, injury attorneys, we fight for the win.
All right, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the Overruled Podcast, brought to you by the Scot McNair Law Firm. This is your co-host, David McNair. Brad's not here today, but I do have a good friend of the firm and now a friend of mine who we've been on a great journey, if you've been following us, to find the best frozen Irish coffee in New Orleans. That is local meteorologist, influencer, and well-known, I don't know if I should call you a celebrity, but you kind of are, Mr. Scot Pilié. Scott, welcome to the Overruled Podcast.
Thank you. I always say the less you hear of me, the better. When it comes to hurricane season, like this time of year, you're like, is he in a podcast for a bad reason? So let's keep it that way.
Are you like a mini Jim Cantori? Like wherever Scott is, I don't want to be?
I feel like if I show up on your For You page and it has been a little while, all of a sudden you're like, oh my gosh, is there something brewing? Like hopefully he's just talking about food and frozen Irish coffees. I am like a mini Jim. And Jim's a great guy, by the way. I worked with him for like 2 years.
Wow. That's incredible. I did not know that. But that's like the joke with him, right? Everybody's like, we don't want Jim Cantori located in our location when the hurricanes come.
They are like, oh my gosh, he's in downtown. And for a little bit, it's kind of like a good thing. Like, well, if he's coming here now, that means it's going to turn.
Right.
You know? But then all of a sudden, if it's like the day of, you're like, oh no, we need him to go somewhere else, please.
How did you find yourself in meteorology, Scott? Because you're locally from New Orleans.
Yeah.
And it's not necessarily, did you love storms and weather growing up? Like, how did you become a meteorologist?
I feel like we have so many people, and this is like a term I like to use, weather weenies, weather junkies. We have a lot of people that are super into weather. Yeah. And I feel like there is a lot of people in South Louisiana, Mississippi, the Gulf Coast in general, that want to be meteorologists. There's just like this connection to weather because we get impacted by it so often. So in 1998, we had Hurricane George that made landfall very nearby to us. And that was kind of like my first like weather bug. I was like fascinated by the storm and by the impacts. And then by 2001, we had Allison. 2002, we had Isidore and Lily that made landfall in Louisiana. I'm like an encyclopedia.
I'm pretty impressed.
For storms.
I'm like, holy shit, he's remembered them all by year. I'm like,
no,
damn.
I am really obsessed with like hurricane climatology. Gotcha. So I kind of got really into it really early on. I mean, pre-Katrina, I was 11 when Katrina made landfall.
Right.
And I've been obsessed well before Katrina. I was on weather forums. Did you know those exist?
No.
They still exist to this day.
Wow.
There's this weather forum called Stormcast Forums. This is not an ad. This is solely a plug for them. It is like the hotspot to get information before a storm ever even forms. Like all these weather junkies.
You still go on it today?
I still go on it to this day.
Amazing. Is it interesting to just hear and have that discussion about weather with everybody?
And it's a ton of people that are locals. A lot of people that are like, hey, I'm logging onto the forum to like post the latest model runs. And it's a lot of meteorologists and weather enthusiasts that are very involved in advocacy for weather information. So
Amazing.
If you're in that forum, you've got a leg up on like what's happening with model forecasts. So that was me in like 05, 06. And then I knew. I mean, after Katrina, there was no doubt in my mind that I was going to go on to be a meteorologist and go to school for the whole thing. And I didn't know at first if I was going to be a broadcast meteorologist or if I was going to be like a specialist. So
Gotcha.
Somebody who works at like the National Weather Service or National Hurricane Center. I didn't know until after.
Gotcha. And so was your family really supportive of it? Because it's not like, hey, Dad, I want to be a pharmacist. Hey, Dad, I want to be a lawyer. Like, I want to be a meteorologist. Would they like go for it?
Pretty much.
Amazing.
They were pretty much like, Scott, whatever you want to do, we're supportive of it. They used to call me like the doom and gloom guy. They'd be like, Scott, please do not hype this thing up. Like as a kid, I'd be like, I don't have a good feeling about this. But then when I got a reputation of like being accurate by them, they would be like, please don't hype this up because then we think it's actually going to happen.
Right.
My dad's a geologist though.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Mm-hmm. So science-y background,
very similar.
And he would take me out to the New Orleans lakefront. I remember, and I'm sure people that are listening to this podcast remember, you remember Cindy in 2005?
Yes.
Vaguely?
Yes, vaguely.
July of 2005, right before Katrina, Cindy made landfall. And I remember to this day, my dad and I went out to the lakefront and we were both like, this feels way stronger than this storm was supposed to be. It was supposed to be a nothing burger. Tropical storm, minimal. I think it was like 45 miles per hour night of. By the time it made landfall, all of a sudden New Orleans power is out for like 2 weeks in some spots. It strengthened to a Category 1 hurricane overnight.
Before it
hit. And so my dad was out there at the lakefront with me. We had my handheld wind anemometer, and he was always very supportive of like anything I wanted to do weather-wise. I'd be like, Dad, can we please go like storm chase?
Yeah.
In our mini version of storm chasing. And to this day, even for Francine last year, my dad and I continued our tradition.
That's amazing.
And we went to the lakefront as, 20 years later?
That's amazing.
Went to the lakefront together for the storm.
I love that y'all have that shared passion and that story. Y'all still doing it together. What are some of your best over the years? How long have you been a meteorologist now?
So I graduated from college 2016.
Okay.
Coming up on 10 years in the business.
Wow. Okay. What are some of the? I'm sure you got some good stories. What's one or two of the best?
So one or two
funniest or your favorites? It's your call.
There's a lot. I was doing a live report in Lafayette, Louisiana for my like first ever live shot weather thing, and it was at like a pizza parlor. And they were like, Scott, we want you out at this pizza parlor, and your first live shot always sticks with you.
Was it good pizza?
Great pizza. Live shot, not my best work. There was like one puddle. My news director was like, "Get out there. We need to focus on weather." And I was like, "What am I supposed to be talking about? There's a pizza parlor
it's like
behind
clear skies and there's a puddle on the
Yes. It was like puddle watch. So that one's memorable for all the wrong reasons. I was doing a live shot from...
You should have just ate some pizza on the air.
I did. Okay. I think I had a Stromboli as well.
Yeah,
I think I had the full gauntlet. I was like, hey, I'm inside now because the weather is, it's not really doing that much outside. I had one where I was doing a live shot at a Mardi Gras parade, and I asked a kid what his favorite throw was, and he whipped this like plastic sword that didn't look like a big thing, but he could extend it. It was one of those like lightsaber
I know
swords.
exactly which ones you're talking about.
And he flicked it out and innocuously just decked me in the head.
Oh.
And
On air?
On air. On air. And everyone back in the studio was like, Scott, you okay out there? And I was laughing. And this kid was just like, I think he knew what he did.
Yeah.
He totally knew what he did. But he was like, this is my favorite throw. Whack.
Nice.
And then the craziest one, obviously, was Ida in 2021. I was covering it at WGNO, and that whole entire event was really crazy to go from a tropical storm to a Category 4 on our doorstep in a matter of about 48 to 72 hours. It happened really quick.
Yeah.
And we were on the 8th floor. WGNO is out at the Galleria in Metairie. And the winds were so strong that they started ripping the siding off of the building.
Oh, wow.
And we heard a big boom, and a AC unit had become dislodged from the rooftop, and it smashed into like our glass ceiling.
Oh, wow.
And so this was one of those situations where you're like, are we going to have to evacuate the whole entire studio? We were one cinder block wall away from being breached, basically, by the wind. It was blowing insulation into the building.
Would y'all have just had to, would y'all have gone off air?
We would have gone off air. We were very close. I mean, it was one cinder block wall. Like, had the wind knocked that wall in, coverage was over. It was time for us. And my husband was very nervous because we're reporting this. I'm on social media being like, hey, y'all, like, we've had a breach of our security here. The winds have gotten that strong that we're now all hunkered in like a much more fortified area of the building. And he was like, Scott, send me a picture right now of you underneath a table. And I was like, I'm covering this. I'll send it to you later. He was like, right now. So that was probably the craziest thing weather-wise that I've covered, that my life, was it in danger? It was close to being in that kind of realm of like, even the meteorologist is a little bit scared.
Gotcha. Crazy story. I want to know from your perspective, there's like this, I don't want to say joke, but it's almost like whatever the meteorologist says is wrong.
Yep.
Tell people like the inherent challenges that you face sometimes in predicting the weather.
Yeah,
the question.
Yeah.
Like it's difficult, right?
It is. And there are so many variables. What I love about it is that the forecast is always changing.
Yeah.
What I hate about it is that the forecast is always changing. And in this day and age, it's very easy for someone to receive a forecast on their phone. And it's me talking about a flood potential.
Right.
But what if they miss the follow-up update that says the flood risk has gone down? Then it's kind of a blessing and a curse with regards to technology, the ability to get alerts, but then also staying up to date with like how a forecast changes. The running joke, though, about meteorologists being wrong, I'll say this: we've gotten a lot more right.
It's not Nash on his chalkboard anymore.
It is. It isn't. And for what it's worth, meteorologists back then, the limited resources that we had to get it right as much as we did, is nuts, right?
Yeah.
I mean, satellite scans. I learned this the other day. You might find this crazy. In 2005, for example, how often do you think satellites refresh? We got a new, fresh satellite scan. How often do you think you got a new scan, like a new image?
I would guess, just off the top of my head, every 10 minutes.
You're not that far off. Every 15 minutes. Okay. Fast forward to today.
Right.
How often? We now have these things called, fancy word, get ready, mesoscale satellites. So satellites that are really zoomed in. They give you like a real close-up picture. How often do you think those could update today?
I would hope now it's like every 5 minutes.
Even faster. Every
wow.
60 seconds
Holy
in some
crap.
instances. So 15 minutes to 60 seconds.
That's a big deal.
Huge deal.
Because then the meteorologist needs the processing time to review it, to maybe talk to another person on the meteorology team, to analyze it, to assess what they think they're going to recommend. So then the update comes in every 30 minutes to an hour versus now maybe every 10 to 15 minutes.
Yeah.
But I get what you're saying, and it's a very interesting and I think great point, which is there's so many updates now that people see the first forecast. They don't follow the updates, and they're like, "Oh, well, the meteorologist was wrong." No, you are a dumbass. You didn't follow the follow-up updates, right?
And people also we're phone addicted. All of us are, right?
Yep.
And so, what is our first instinct? You look at a weather app, and it gives you this blanket number of 60%. What does that really mean? There's a whole mathematical equation that goes into the percentage. But that percentage could be for an entire 24-hour period. It doesn't tell you when it's going to rain, for how long, and for how much. So there's a lot of like things that I love and dislike about even like a 7-day forecast. You know, like I'll talk about it all the time. Your 7-day forecast, boom, boom, boom. Sure, that's good for like a blanket kind of rough outline. But I could give you a 15-day panelized hour by hour forecast of any day.
Right.
You know, so it's important for people to check up to date with the forecast because it really does change a lot more frequently now because we have so many more tools.
Yes. Great point. Okay. Last question about meteorology. What is one or two things you would want people to know about meteorology that maybe you don't think they do know?
So there are a lot more what we call AMS certified meteorologists today. If you look on any network and there's this little tiny bug at the side of the screen that says AMS, that stands for the American Meteorological Society.
Okay.
And there is this very intense testing process that goes on after a meteorologist has graduated from college. So I went through a 4-year program and I am a professional degreed meteorologist, which means I took a lot. I could say, excuse my language, and give you a curse word about how large this math and science curriculum is. But I went all the way up through differential equations, Cal 1, 2, 3, 4, like the whole gauntlet.
I hate math.
Yep. I love math.
I'm glazed over thinking about it.
We went through a lot of math and science, and because of that, I can be certified. And you also have to submit your broadcasts. So like multiple broadcasts have to be graded by your peers with how you distribute scientific information. So like how you describe complex terms. If you've got that AMS seal, I think I'm number 818 or something. That's 818 worldwide that have this seal. So be careful who you're trusting online. That's what I would say. It's like, when you are trusting a meteorologist, make sure you're trusting the one that actually has all of the nitty gritty science and math curriculum. And people who took this test know a lot about weather and atmospheric patterns.
And there's only 818 of them who are certified as AMS?
Yeah, I think there's now about 1,000 or so. So I got certified in 2018.
It would seem to me that there's a lot more probably on the air than that have that certification.
Way more.
Okay.
Way more.
Very interesting.
Yeah, so a lot of people that may have gone to school for some sort of atmospheric science, you might be a great communicator.
Right.
You might have an atmospheric science background, but did you really study all of the deeper levels of like micro climates and mesoscale meteorology? Like these are all like tornadoes and hurricanes and climate in general. You know, these are all topics that people can specialize in. And if you're an AMS certified meteorologist, just be on the lookout. You know, if they've got that AMS seal, I would give them a little notch up on your like trusted level for a meteorologist.
Very interesting. Okay, enough about the weather. Let's talk about you being an influencer. How did this come about? Because that's a part of now it's a part of your job, part of your career. And it's amazing, all the incredible content, the variety of things that you're doing, from not just Irish coffees with us, but going to the oyster bed forum the other day I saw.
Our segment is our favorite thing, though, by the
way. I mean, shout out so far to Parasols. We're still going to Aaron Rose as we film this, but that's been my favorite so far. I'm sorry, because I love Finn McCool's.
I know.
Finn McCool's was really, really good, and we talked about this. You know, Molly's on the Markets was too sweet for me, but even though I love Molly's,
it was a nice little milkshake.
But yeah, Parasols had bourbon, so that's what tipped it over the scale for me.
Yeah. I feel like being an influencer, and I use the word content creator, influencer, whatever you want to call me.
What is it? Is a content producer, would you prefer?
I feel like...
Because you're producing great content.
Thank you. I try to like make content that's actually informative and educational and engaging.
I think you're doing a great job.
And respect it to the brand. You know, like I try to make sure that I keep everyone's brand unique and blend it with mine. You know, gotcha. I don't want to make it generic. You know, and have a same script for every place that I go to. Every story is different. Every person I interact with is different.
It doesn't feel like that with your content. Like it feels like it's thought out and planned purposely for the different brands and the different clients that you're working with.
Thank you.
And it doesn't feel inauthentic.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, and that can be something that is very easy to, if you rip and read a script every time, no one wants to watch the same video 18 times.
Right.
You know? And that's part of being a meteorologist and being a content creator, is having that variety, being able to talk about a beautiful sunny day and being able to all of a sudden flip the script and talk about a landfalling hurricane. Those are very different
100%
scripts. And the similar thing for social media. I tell you what, like when I got into news, I've always been a social media junkie.
Gotcha.
I got into news, and you know, I interned with Margaret Orr.
I didn't know
back in the day. Yep. I cold called at the station with my resume as a Jesuit graduate, and I was like,
"Oh, Miles is so excited!
That gets you in the door. That gets you in the door."
When I literally knocked on the door, you know, they had the security cameras. They're like, "Hello, can I help you?" And I was like, "I just drop it off my resume." I probably had a squeaky little voice, and I was like, "I just want to like intern at the weather department." But I showed Margaret, we were like Twitter new users, X now, together, right? So like we both hopped on the social media journey same time.
Amazing.
And I always said, like, you don't have to be first, but you do have to be consistent.
Right.
And you got to really latch on to trends, right? And so when I got into news in 2016, I swear to God, I would do Facebook Lives and I would have one person watching, my mom, shout out. One person, 0 following. Probably had like 36 followers. They were all my friends and my mom.
Was the consistency what you think really helped build it up for you?
I do. And I think being there when other people weren't.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people treat jobs as the 9 to 5. And that's great. Work-life balance is so important. But when it comes to weather, sometimes weather does not play by the 9 to 5 rule, right?
That's right.
And so even to this day, if all of a sudden I'm seeing flash flooding, I'm Scott's weather brain is on, and I'm grabbing my phone and I'm posting an update. And for social media in general, that's kind of the approach that I took, was like, people should know the difference between laissez-faire, Scott's everyday weather personality, which can be nice and fun and going to different restaurants and showing that off. But then when the weather hits, he's going to be my guy, and I'm going to be able to trust him in that like serious environment. So we had one tropical storm in 2016 into 2017, and my followers went from like 36, like I said, to like 3,000
right
on Facebook. And you start to see the snowball effect, right? 3,000. Then all of a sudden you have one day where there's like a rogue flash flood warning. All of a sudden it's like 5,000. And I think during Ida and Francine, I could have had like 5,000, 10,000 people watching a Facebook Live at one time.
Yeah.
You know, like, and that's just over a couple of years. So just kind of sticking with that mindset, though, going from weather. I know we moved on from weather, but I dove back in.
But it's a piece of it, right?
Yeah.
It's a part of what has kind of, I guess, helped create and grow your follower base.
Totally.
And then nowadays in media, which is a reality for the law firm too, is like Andy Delaporte. I'm sorry, Andy. He doesn't want to hear this at Fox 8. He's the sales director. It's like not everyone digests everything via traditional broadcast, not cable, Andy. Broadcast. Television, people are digesting information through OTT, but like what you just mentioned, I think is really instructive, is people want to know what's going on with weather in a live fashion. You have thousands of people watching it on Facebook or on Instagram Live, right?
Yep.
So anyways, continue.
So, yeah, no, it's so true. And that's kind of where I loved what you and I were talking about earlier before we hopped on, was that in 2021 during Ida, right after the storm, TikTok was starting to really boom. That 2020 to 2021 was the real incipient stage of TikTok.
Yeah.
The algorithm was this new, fresh, shiny thing that felt like you were pulling a lottery jackpot lever every time. You didn't know your video could get 3,000 views or it could get 3 million. It was wild. The exponential reach was addictive. And my husband and I started like playing around with ideas. Some of them were fun. I started this series called Teaching My Boyfriend How to Speak Louisiana. That was the concept because he was a new Louisiana resident.
Where's he from?
Oklahoma.
Oh, well, then that was a hit, probably.
It was a hit.
How bad was his accent doing Louisiana words? I bet Chapatulas was great.
Chapatulas, Tony Sacheries. He was like, Tony who? Like, you know.
I'm from Thibodeaux.
Yeah. No, like legitimately, like Huma. He had no, like what? Like, come on.
Huma, like those British guys. You said they were like, Huma, I'm in Huma. I'm like,
yeah.
They called cockadry cockadries. It's like that.
Yeah. I asked him, like, do you know what the Holy Trinity is? And he's like, I don't know, mosquitoes, potholes. Like, he was like going totally rogue. So the segment was a hit. And
that you just saw the numbers.
Saw the numbers
explode.
Saw the numbers. And it was right after that point that I went into more independent weather contracting and social media contracting as well. And when I left TV from a traditional sense to a freelance sense, I got a call from Michelob. This was totally random, right? All I've been doing is posting fun little videos on TikTok.
It's a nice call.
And yeah, I got a call from Michelob and they were like, hey, Scott, we love what y'all are doing down in New Orleans. We want to partner with you for a campaign. This was right after hurricane season. It was like a, pop open that Michelob or, and it was like, whoa, I can't believe that I got reached out to for a partnership. Like, I don't even have that many followers on TikTok or on Instagram. I think I had like 12,000 followers on Instagram, which that might sound like a lot, but at the time it was like, this isn't like crazy numbers.
Yeah.
And that was when I went, wow, this industry is changing.
Yeah.
That was that moment that was like, I can make money on this platform. I can get partnerships. And I can also use my weather brain and my social brain.
Yeah.
And I'll be honest with you, this might come as a surprise, but I had a lot of pushback when I first started doing what I'm still doing today.
Well, we talked about that before, and it didn't surprise me, but I think I think to everyday people who wouldn't know the dynamics, it's like you have the traditional newsroom, the traditional cable studio, and you have the editors, you have the photographers, videographers, all the different teams that work there. And you have a very difficult task. You're straddling that line of being the meteorologist, but also being a content creator, which is not necessarily always related to weather. In many cases, it's not. I mean, some of the stuff that you're doing now is interesting, specifically like with the parishes, right? That is like cool, interesting, and also touches a bit on your passion of weather. But you're like juggling a line. I'm assuming that some people don't like it. Or are pushing back or snipping behind your back. I mean, who gives a shit is my 2 cents about that. But like,
but it takes a while to break out of that mindset of being judged, you know?
Right, for sure.
I have so much love for news and for the newsroom and that element, you know, of traditional news media and like how you display it. And it's so organized and it's so professional and you are giving so many people a voice on a platform. Social media is that. And that's the reality now, is that people can get so much educational and informative content directly from their phone in a non-traditional sense. So what I was doing kind of felt crazy at the time, but now
it's not really.
Now it's
just,
not.
Yeah, I mean, it's just delivering the same message that people need to know about weather and other aspects of weather for that kind of content in a different medium. That's all. It's no different than, like, from my perspective at least. So you think about streaming and OTT. People are digesting a lot of their content not on traditional mediums anymore. So by that I mean they want to watch something on Disney Plus. They open the Disney Plus app on their phones or their smart tablets and they watch it there as opposed to on TV on traditional cable. And so those channels, whether it be WGNO, we mentioned Fox, WWL, the CBS affiliate, they all are making money and selling advertising on streaming, which is just a different medium, just like everything else as far as you reaching people on non-traditional channels. But what is one of the best stories that you have as a content producer? I'm sure you have a lot, but one of your favorites.
So my favorite moment, I think ever, honestly, on something that I got brought on as a partnership was this year when I got to go to Thailand.
Amazing.
It was amazing. And this is where I find it so crazy how social media and the power of social media works. This wasn't because of weather. This wasn't even because of lifestyle content. Recently, within the past, in 2021, I started delving into environmental advocacy. And I had a brief stint with the Environmental Defense Fund, which is a global environmental nonprofit. And more recently, I have joined Pontchartrain Conservancy, which is a local environmental, water quality, coastal restoration nonprofit right here in Louisiana. They saw my work in restoration and environmental advocacy. The Tourism Board of Thailand.
Wow.
I get on a call with them and they were like, we saw this, we saw that, but we really liked the way that you told stories about the environment. A big partnership that they were working on in Thailand was building up the knowledge of plastic pollution. Big problem in Asia. Which
affects us, by the way.
It does.
It's one freaking ocean.
One ocean. And we're all connected, right? And your litter, whether you know it or not, goes right down a storm drain into our canals, into Lake Pontchartrain. Eventually, that could get to the Florida beaches. That could go into the Caribbean. Like, these currents matter, right? So when they brought me there, I met this woman, and I'll keep the story short, but it was amazing. I met this woman. She's 60 years old, and she told me that when she was an Olympic athlete, windsurfing, she would go to this beach in the late 80s, zero plastic on the beach. Just like pieces of driftwood and seashells, and they would do like a beach cleanup. But it was really just picking up random obsolete objects like buoys and like just pieces of rope. All of these things that are very normal things that you would expect to find as debris. Fast forward to this year. She picked up 6 tons.
Jeez.
6 tons of garbage. 4 years ago, she picked up 4 tons of garbage. The exponential amount of plastic pollution that she has witnessed in her lifetime. This is insane, right? And so hearing her story and what she does for advocacy, I got to tell that story. And it was amazing because we need more people, first of all, showing this problem.
Yeah. Who are some of the big, do you know, I'm just curious, who are some of the biggest offenders of this? Is it China and India?
Yeah, so the Philippines, the Philippines are one of the worst plastic pollutions. India is also really high up there. And within that area of like Indonesia, Philippines to India, these bodies of water aren't nearly as large. So you're getting a really big sloshing effect.
Wow.
Where unfortunately a lot of populations there, because of their climate and everything else, they're built on rivers. And all of those populations of elderly folks in particular, that from no fault of their own, education about littering and also no littering trash pickup infrastructure along these riverbanks. So what's the natural thing to do? You put your trash out by your curb, and then all of a sudden a heavy rain comes, it picks up your garbage, and then it's in the ocean, right?
Yeah.
Like, this is a big, big, big problem. And there's a lot of different ways to address it, but once it's in the water, it becomes infinitely more difficult to stop the spread of the pollution. So
yeah. I want to be nosy about that trip from the standpoint of like one thing I was telling you off the air that's kind of got my attention is the economics of content creation, specifically because in the news right now, there's this relatively new restaurant, by the way, big plug from, I think it's Puccinella's. I've been there once.
I've heard great things.
Get the meatball.
Yeah,
get the
I've
meatball.
heard great things.
You will not regret the meatball. The food was fantastic. Just a great place, kind of like in a bar. And there's the restaurant's downstairs, a bar upstairs, which I think is stripper karaoke. And you can bring your drinks upstairs. So
why not?
Sounds like a nice night.
Yeah,
you know, great dinner,
great.
great food, stripper karaoke upstairs. They let you bring your wine up. But
is this like burlesque karaoke? Is this stripper? Like, it's like a,
yeah,
I think it's
not
burlesque.
Yeah, it's not like, you know, it's not a penthouse situation. It's,
it's not like Bourbon Street upstairs kind of vibe. This is like
it's
St.
more
Claude.
burlesque. Yeah,
Okay,
exactly.
all right.
But there's an allegedly influencer from New York who kind of went there, showed up. It's been in the news. Puccinella's had to like defend themselves because the influencer like ran up a $300 bill with like 8 or 9 drinks. And then I guess there was some confusion on communication, which may be the biggest lesson that you say. It's like, what are in the restaurant was like, look, we didn't even know they expected for us to just comp the meal, all the things. But like for that Thailand trip, like is it typically like you get to take these types of trips and the client will pay for you to go, like, which is awesome if so, but like tell everybody a little bit about the economics of it and the business side of it as much as you're comfortable talking about.
So there are so many layers to this.
Yeah.
I'm going to try to tackle just a couple.
It's just unique to every client. Is that basically how
it is
goes?
unique to every client. For people that are starting out in influencer content creation, 2 things that I would always keep in mind: having a media kit, something that shows your stuff, right? It's like a new way of a resume, right?
Yeah.
And hot links of like 6 links of videos that are showing your best work. So mine would be like a lifestyle video, a coastal restoration video, a weather video, and, you know, just like some hot links of what makes you, and why a client should bring you on. That's number 1. So media kit, some hot links, and then having a rough idea of your worth and your rate sheet, right?
Yep.
Like that would be the 3 things that I would say. Now, those things are very hard to quantify. And to your point, for Thailand, right? They reached out and they were like, this isn't, first of all, it is not a partner, you and your partner. This is just a Scot. This is just a Scot thing.
We're bringing you.
They were like, we wish we could bring Ben too, but in this instance, this is like Scot, coastal, environmental Scot. We just want you.
Gotcha.
So this was not a paid thing, but it was an all expenses paid for thing.
Nice.
And that was amazing.
Yeah.
Right? Like for me to go
Thailand.
a 2-week trip to Thailand to really delve into their culture and so many different aspects of environmental advocacy was amazing. But other examples, like on a more local scale, right? There are, we call them hosted events. A hosted dinner. That would be when a restaurant reaches out and they're like, hey, Scott, we've got a new menu release and we want you to be the first one to try it. And we would love, a lot of them would say, and we would love for you to show this off on social media.
Yep.
If you've got a big following in food and people really trust your food reviews and stuff like that, it's perfectly reasonable to be like, hey, I do only offer paid collaborations to show this off because I don't want to appear biased by being hosted.
100%.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
If you're hosted and you're getting a free meal, then they expect a guarantee that you will give a positive review.
Yep.
So you do need to be very cautious about being hosted. You need to set the expectations really clear up front because you don't want that to be.
So if I understand that explanation, I just want to jump in here.
Yeah.
So it's like you say, okay, I'll come in that hypothetical, but like I'm paying for dinner, you're paying me whatever your rate is to put this on my channel.
Correct.
But they're not controlling the content. You decide what you put out there.
Correct.
That makes a lot of sense.
Now, something that like I will do as just like someone that, let's say I really want to go try out the mini release, but I know that I don't want to subject someone to false information. I want to be genuine. When my husband and I go out to dinner, my food reviews, I want to be as authentic to the experience as possible.
Because you don't want people who follow you to go try and be like, what the frick is Scott thinking?
What the heck? Yeah, like,
I just tried this.
Ew. You know, what if you went out?
What was the damn thing you had at Avegno? It looked good. The
oh my
Sloppy
gosh.
Joe.
Miles,
Yeah.
did you go with the Sloppy Joe?
Sloppy Joe.
I told him I was supposed to go the other day. I didn't make it. But
Oh,
we'll talk
Miles,
about that
what a
later.
letdown.
They've got a
I
late
know,
night
I
happy
know.
hour that I'm obsessed
Yeah,
with.
the
It's like a little
Sloppy Joe looked
speakeasy.
great. So like, let's say somebody
Yeah.
who follows you loves Scott, they go try the Sloppy Joe. They're like, this Sloppy Joe sucked.
That's what I'm saying.
Like then it's like, well, I'm not
Right.
trusting Scott anymore, right? You
Right.
know,
So you got to be really careful. Sometimes it's better to say no than to get caught in something that you feel as if is misconstruing your brand. You got to protect
100%.
that, you know?
Yep,
And
yep.
so I think setting the expectations is really the ultimate thing. What this influencer allegedly did is not okay.
Yeah.
Always when we go out,
because it sounds like it's like the worst part.
Is
that
the
they could've
worst.
Done. Is they like, hey, we don't want you to pay us to put it on our channel, but we want you to comp the meal. And
Yeah.
so then it's like biasing their perspective on the meal.
and not only that, but it feels as if you're comping a meal and you're going to the restaurant, you also need to be like, what are the expectations? Am I going to get a reel? Am I going to get stories? What am I getting?
Yeah,
you know,
100%.
like just you eating here isn't doing me any good. I really do want to get some content and some publicity. The other part of that is that if you go to a restaurant, you want to make sure that you're also telling them up front, I will do X, I will do Y, I will do Z, but I'm not going to guarantee, this amount of edits or like the details really matter when it comes to like the obligation before you go in there. And I'll tell you, sometimes, this may be even off the record, is that it's better to just go and pay for yourself and not get into it, because I've had restaurants reach out to me. They'll say, Scott, we want to cover the meal and we're covering gratuity. And I'm like, that is amazing. Thank you so much. We'll try to work y'all into our schedule, or we may just come on our own.
Yeah.
Because we went to a restaurant the other night. It was fully just us going on our spontaneous adventure.
Enjoying it.
Fully paid, enjoying it. And it was like, I can go give an honest food review without feeling any obligation to be positive or whatever.
100%. Well, I think a lot of what you said is you're organized ahead of time. You know what your rates are. You know for each client, you communicate with them about what you're looking for, which seems like what happened. It's like a lawyer's dream, by the way. You just even talked about obligations just now. I'm like so excited. The lawyer inside of me. But what happened with the situation at Puccinella's was clearly a failure of communication.
Yeah,
on
on
one
multiple
side or the other.
And it seems as if the allegedly really doubled down on being not a good person by leaving them a bad review. And it's just common courtesy. If no one told you that you were going to have the tip covered, pay a tip.
Yeah,
Like
right.
there was a whole Reddit scandal a couple weeks back on influencers in New Orleans. Obviously, as one, I know how tight-knit our content creator community is. I know who the good ones are. I know who the people are that I'm like, I don't know if I would want them.
Right.
You have your favorites, but generally speaking, we have a really great content creator community in New Orleans. people that are over tipping,
Wow.
people that are going above and beyond to highlight our local businesses and restaurants. I spoke at Entrepreneur Week at Loyola this year about
Nice.
this topic. And I was like, y'all do not understand. In Atlanta, the influencers were not nice. It was a competition. It was always like this person and that and that. And it was like, whoa, yo, like we're like a community first. And New Orleans has a really diverse content creator community that is undeniable. We have all walks of life, all neighborhoods. I'll be like, oh my God, that person's like a total uptown person. They've got their little uptown niche. You've got people that live in the French Quarter that all keep, I'm keeping up with all the IV waste drama.
Yeah.
Like, there are people in all of these different neighborhoods that really represent our city in such a local and national way that I know the power that the community has. So I hate seeing negative things happen, but it's how it rolls. You get one bad egg out of the bunch, and it can make the whole thing look bad. When you know that the overall good that is being done.
Yeah. Well, let's roll into a little round robin quickly here.
I'm
I
scared.
want to know this. We're going to do a little session overrule with Scott Vignier. I want to ask you some questions.
Okay.
And I'm not going to pin you to one, but just go quickly.
Okay.
Some of your favorite restaurants in New Orleans. Go.
Katie's.
Great one. Been on the show, Scott.
Scott Craig is who I'm named after.
Yeah. Didn't know that.
He's been on the
He's
show.
Been on the show.
I love Irene's.
Great.
Okay.
I love... Oh my gosh, my brain's going everywhere. I love Lebanon's Cafe.
That's a great one.
Lebanon's Cafe is so sneaky, delicious.
was a
My
great spot of
go-tos
mine in law
always, though, if I'm like going for like patio outdoor vibes, people coming in from out of town, you cannot miss the connection of Superior Seafood, Chloe, and Columns. Those three, you could walk down St. Charles and have yourself a day. Della Chase's in there too.
Great spots, all of them. All right, number 2. Are you ready?
Yep.
Favorite bars in New Orleans?
I love Erin Rose.
Yeah, we'll be there soon.
I love Sylvain.
That's a good one.
Sylvain is just like cute, cozy, little sneaky good patio. My favorite one right now, though, David, Peychaud's. I
Never
love
been.
Peychaud's
Never
in
been.
the quarter next to the Will in the Way. It's a sneaky gem. The bartenders are like unbelievably knowledgeable, and they will also get you really drunk because you are like, what the heck? Like they're like,
Just moved up on my list.
yeah, they're like, they're like, Scott, we know you like trying blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, what is that again? They're like, this is this, batched rum from Cuba that we can't get anymore because it's embargoed. And I'm like, what? I've got to try it. And then I'm 2 shots deep and I'm drunk.
Amazing. Love that list. Okay, number 3. Favorite outside of the metro region places. Could be food, could be bars. Up to you. Talking like if there's a boudin place in Lafayette. Like
Yeah.
Any of your favorites.
I am kind of obsessed with Bay St. Louis as a whole. They've got this butcher shop there that's fantastic. I also down in Homa and Thibodaux, we
That's
had
my
a whole
spot.
little
That's my spot.
We had a whole little day down there, and I'm not going to lie, both of them, both Lafouche and Terrebonne Parish, they kind of got it going on. They have a place in my heart, and honestly, there's a place that's called Ember that just recently
I
opened
just
up.
went there on Saturday night for my friend Blake's
Did you
40th
really?
birthday. Swear to
Is it
God.
not such a vibe?
It's a good place.
It's such a vibe.
Love it.
And right down
I
the
don't
street,
think it beats Cristiano's. Were you at Cristiano's?
I haven't eaten at Cristiano's.
You got to go down to Homa and try Cristiano's,
Okay.
but Ember is a good spot.
Ember's a good spot.
Okay, before we let you go, we got
Yep.
to know 2 more things. What is your favorite book? Do you have one?
I really like And Then There Were None.
Oh.
It's just a sneaky little like murder mystery, Agatha Christie. I feel like that's like I like little murder mystery documentaries, stuff like that. Really picks my brain and I can follow along with like the plot. So that's like an old one. And then The Rising Tide. That's my most recent one that I've enjoyed. That's talking about all things coastal erosion and Mississippi River and yeah.
Amazing. Okay, Scott, last question while we got you on the hot seat is there's one superpower that you have. You do a lot of amazing things from meteorology. I'm getting on the show. I'm losing my touch here. And being a content creator. What do you think is one trait of yours that you have that is unique that's helped you succeed?
I think I can control a room and really get to know each person in a room. All walks of life, no one's off limits for me. And I think like when you see me buzzing, you know, and I'm just talking to like 8 different people, I remember people's stories and I like connecting and bringing together a community. So I think that's my superpower, is being able to go into a room, light up. I'm like an Energizer battery of extrovertedness.
Yeah.
The more you get me out there, the more my battery gets charged.
Yep.
So you got to get me out of that routine sometimes so that I can actually have a mental break. Because otherwise I'm like, bop, 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 and I'll keep bopping around. And I love that part about myself.
Well, I think it's amazing you said that, because I do think that is your superpower.
Oh.
I think you put yourself in the rooms and you're not afraid to put yourself in those situations.
Thank you.
But this has been an incredible discussion. Thank you so much for being here, Scot.
Thank you for having me.
Scot is everywhere. He's on Instagram. He's on TikTok. He's
Truly.
On TV. So if you haven't found him, go look him up. Scot Pilié. Has been a great discussion.
Thank you.
And
See you
thank
for our Frozen Irish Coffee Tour.
Coming up. It's still going. It's still going. And thank you to all of our listeners and followers. This has been another great episode of the Overrule Podcast with Scot Vignair. We will see you next time.
Scott Vignair, injury attorneys, we fight for the win.
Information is for illustrative purposes only and does not constitute tax, investment, or legal advice. Always consult with a qualified investment, legal, or tax professional before taking any action.